I'm still waiting for the true feelings of a world champion to kick in. I feel numb. A life's work was achieved. I was 7 years old when I first dreamed of becoming a world champion. It's been a long, hard road. I made mistakes and made it hard for myself, but all of that combined has made it a lot more sweet now. Now I have to find some new goals and achieve so much more. I am going to be such a better rounded human being as well as a fighter because I can put the demons to bed. I am world champion and can have any fight I want after this. Maybe I'll beat my old mate James. That's always a comfortable one. Ultimately, we both have a super fight if we fight each other. If we don't, then we can both be involved in big fights, but not a super fight. We will see. I'm not really that fussed about fighting Degale. I want to enjoy my world title first. I'm sure I'll beat him again, but the deal has to be right for me. If it's not, then we can wait until next year or a bit longer. He's the one ready to cash out. He's the one saying he doesn't want to fight anymore. I don't think it's an easy one to make against Degale because he is not an easy person to deal with. I'd like that fight, but have to wait and see. I've beaten him twice already. It's a fight that people would enjoy, a fight that everyone would like to see again. If we can make it happen, then we will. Those are the words of newly crowned WBA super middleweight world champion George Groves. Having a cheeky little dig there at his old rival, James Degale. What do you think about what Groves has said here? He says he's in no rush to fight Degale. My take on that is somebody else could beat Groves in the meantime, unless he's matched very carefully. I think George Groves is shop-worn at this stage. Yes, he beat Chudinov. But to me, he looks like he's forcing his punches these days. He don't look like the same young, fresh, dynamic fighter that he was on the way up, that gave Carl Froch so much trouble, particularly in the first fight. He looks like a veteran now. He looks battle-scarred, psychologically and physically. So I don't think he has the same freshness. I actually don't think he's as good now, even though he has, I think, improved in some ways over his past few fights in terms of improving after the loss. You know, his first fight back from the loss didn't look great. Second fight, not great, but he's looked better in his last couple fights than he did in his first couple fights after the loss, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I think he's not as bad as he was, for example, against Dennis Douglin. He's better than that now. But still, in my view, he's not the old George Groves. That's just what I see. I think he's a bit shop-worn. And therefore, if he doesn't fight Degale straight away or sometime soon, there's a chance that somebody else could come along and beat him. I also feel the same about James Degale. Degale's been in a hell of a lot of tough fights. He is talking about not being around in boxing for too much longer. I also think Degale is potentially a bit shop-worn. How is he going to be after the Badou Jack fight? He's had injuries and what have you, so we'll see what happens. I would like to see the Groves Degale fight happen sooner rather than later. Let's settle this grudge once and for all and see who the better man is. If the fight does happen and both guys keep winning, and you know, this is going to give George Groves leverage now at a negotiating table, which he didn't have before. So can these guys actually work it out at a negotiating table? We know George Groves is with Sauerland and James Degale, I believe, is with Matchroom. You know, his relationship with Eddie Hearn is a little ambiguous at times. You're not quite sure what to make of it. But Sauerland and Hearn work very well together. They've done a lot of business together. So we'll see what happens if they sit down and start negotiating for a fight. Will the egos of the fighters prevent the fight from being made? As I say, I hope it happens sooner rather than later. And if it does happen, if both guys do stay undefeated, well, both of them have lost, but I'm saying as long as both guys retain their titles, how do you see the fight going if it happens? Do you think George Groves is just James Degale's nemesis and he just has his number and he'll always beat him? Or do you think that James Degale can actually get his revenge on George Groves if they were to fight again anytime soon? Drop your comments in the comment section below. Let me know how you feel. Is this a fight that you want to see? Or would you prefer to see George Groves or James Degale face off against Callum Smith? If Callum Smith is able to capture the WBC super middleweight title by beating Degale. Let me know what you think in the comment section, people. It's happening. I'm out.